Hello there, welcome to my online class. I'm very glad to see you. In this part, we will focus on air cargo charges and rates and air Waybill. In recent years, air freight has been developing rapidly and air carriers have been able to offer an ever-widening range of services. Freight costs can be paid in advance, at destination or against reimbursement. The main advantage of air freight is speed, which makes it invaluable for the carriage of high-value products and perishable products such as fish, flowers, and other products, which have a short lifespan. The most often used Incoterm is FCA and so on. The pricing of international air freight is governed by the International Air Transport Association, ITA, via the Air Cargo Tariff, TAC. TAC is generally considered to be a set of guidelines which contains comprehensive information regarding air cargo rules, regulations, rates, and charges to a TAC. However, carriers are not required to use these rates and charges. More than 100 airlines carriers tend to develop their own rates based on the commodity and market competition. TAC includes three types of international air carrier rates. Firstly, general cargo rate, GCR. General cargo rates are charged by a carrier to transport cargo when it doesn't qualify for a discounted special class fee or a commodity fee from the carrier. General cargo rates consist of minimum rate, M, normal rate, and lower charge in high weight, Q. Next, commodity classification rate, CCR. Commodity classification rates, also known as class rates, are published for particular commodities from a specified point of origin to a specified destination point and are usually shown in surcharged S or reduced R. Class rates take precedence over general cargo rates, regardless of comparisons. Newspapers, magazines, periodicals, books, catalogs, braille type equipment, and talking books for the blind. Usually 50% of normal GCR shall apply to the above commodities, and the minimum charge will be either the minimum charge for the specified sector or the amount customers get by multiplying such discounted rate per kilogram pound by the minimum chargeable weight, whichever is higher. Baggage shipped as cargo. For carriage of baggage shipped as cargo, excluding machinery, jewelry, cameras, merchandise, and salesman sales, 50% of normal GCR will apply, and such baggage is subject to a minimum charge for 10 kg. This rate is applicable only when passengers travel to ITA, Area 2 and Area 3. The baggage must be delivered to the carrier no later than the passenger's departure date. The passenger or his agent is responsible for the customs clearance. Then live animals. All live animals, including cold-blooded animals, minimum charges are 200% of applicable minimum charge. Other commodity classification rates, surcharged rates, are applicable for human remains and valuable cargo, including legal banknotes, travelers' checks, securities, bonds, gold, platinum, diamonds, including diamonds for industrial use, and jewelry. However, class rates are not applicable to the carriage of the candidates, price tags, and posters. Secondly, specific commodity rate, SCR. Specific commodity rates are applicable to named types of freight or some named commodities. Over 5,000 different commodities are described in lists of definitions prepared by the airlines with International Air Transport Association for international services. Similar lists exist for domestic rates. Specific commodity rates are usually lower than general cargo rates and are published for particular commodities from a specified point of origin to a specified destination point. They are subject to a minimum weight restriction. Specific commodity rates take precedence over class rates and general cargo rates. When the class rate or the general cargo rate applicable to the consignment is lower than the specific commodity rate, the lower rate can be applied. When the class rate is higher than the general cargo rate, the class rate takes precedence over general cargo rate. Then let's talk about the airway bill. Airway bill. The airway bill, AWB, is the most important document issued by a carrier, either directly or through its authorized agent. It is a non-negotiable transport document. It covers transport of cargo from airport to airport. By accepting a shipment and item, cargo agent is acting on behalf of the carrier, whose airway bill is issued. Airway bills have 11-digit numbers, which can be used to make bookings, check status of delivery, and the current position of the shipment. What are characters and functions of airway bills? There are several purposes that the airway bill serves, but its main functions are: first, evidence of a contract of carriage. Behind every original of airway bill are conditions of contract for carriage. Then, evidence of receipt of goods. When the shipper delivers goods to be forwarded, he will get a receipt. The receipt is proof that the shipment was handed over in good order and condition, and also that the shipping instructions, as contained in the shipper's letter of instructions, are acceptable. After completion, an original copy of the airway bill is given to the shipper as evidence of the acceptance of goods and as a proof of a contract of carriage. Freight bill. The airway bill may be used as a bill or invoice together with the supporting documents, since it may indicate charges to be paid by the consignee, charges due to the agent or the carrier. An original copy of an airway bill is used for carrier's accounting. Then, certificate of insurance. The airway bill may also serve as an evidence if the carrier is in a position to insure the shipment and is requested to do so by the shipper. Customs declaration. Although customs authorities require various documents like a commercial invoice, packing list, and so on, the airway bill too is proof of freight amount billed for the goods carried and may be needed to be presented for the customs clearance. Usually, airline airway bills are distributed to the IATA cargo agents by the IATA Airlines. The airway bills show the carrier's name, its head office address, its logo, the pre-printed 11-digit airway bill number. Next, airway bill categories. A freight forwarder offering a consolidation service will issue its own airway bill. This is called forwarders or house AWB. This acts as proof of contract of carriage between the shipper and the forwarder, who in this case becomes a deemed carrier. The forwarder in turn enters into the contracts with one or more carriers, often using more than one mode of transportation. The proof of contract of carriage between the forwarder and carrier is called a master airway bill, MAWB. The horse airway bill, HAWB, could act as a multimodal transport document. Then let's move on to the part of content of airway bill. An airway bill usually contains 12 sheets, 3 for original, 6 for copies, and 3 for extra copies. The originals describe the carrying clauses on their back. The shippers signing on the originals means they accept and allow the contract clauses. Nowadays, the airway bills used by different airline companies are basically the same. Most of them use the standard form by IATA with little difference. An airway bill shall contain the following particulars. First, the place and departure and destination airport. Names of departure and destination airports. Then the names and addresses of the consignor, consignee, and carrier. Fourthly, a description of goods including method of packing, marks, weights, quantity, and dimensions. Then the total freight amount prepaid and to pay and the rate. Next, the declared value for customer's purpose, likewise for carriage and the currency. Then, date of flight, and the details of any special route to be taken. The signature of shipper and his agent, and the signature of the issuing carrier, airline operator, or his agent. Next, details of booked flight and extra flights incorporating the first, second, and third carrier if there are several carriers involved. Finally, please try some practice. Good luck.